Hello. Hi, everybody. We are back with another episode of If This Canvas Could Talk. I'm excited. We're going to have another guest artist today. So let me see if, let me give a few minutes for people to get on. I hope everybody's doing good. We are having some rainstorms here in Southern Cal, but let me go ahead and I'm going to invite our guest on tonight. I'm waiting for, oh, there's my friend Terry. Okay, everybody, this is episode 18 of If This Canvas Could Talk. And we are starting with, and I'm going to invite her next. There's Miss Terry. Hi, Terry.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. I'm inviting Miss Barbara next.
Okay. There she is.
Hello, Jeanette and Terry.
Hi.
Good morning.
Good afternoon.
Yeah.
I'm always in a different time zone.
Yeah, are you?
You are because, yeah, you are. I forgot that.
Hey, I thought I'd be on the other side.
Well,
you normally
switch,
are
Terry.
on yours.
Yeah, this is like my normal side. I was really excited to be on the right side.
That's so funny. That is so funny.
Yeah.
well,
Well, I wrote some notes out to introduce you since
my
we're
goodness.
on and we're just going for it. Are we ready? I think,
Just
Jeanette,
go
are
for
you?
it.
just going to say that welcome everybody that's on with us live. This is episode 18 of If This Canvas Could Talk with Jeanette Bergstrom, Terry Wilson, and Barbara Reed from Canada.
Yeah. So excited. Okay, so I didn't want to miss anything because you are amazing, so I took notes. But so Barbara, we know Barbara from her live called No Brush Required with Tamara Grand, and Barbara is a distinct abstract artist based in Canada, which we were just talking about, a whole different time zone. Her art has been widely exhibited nationally, both solo and in groups. And if you've seen her beautiful work, she loves layers. She creates using mixed media, acrylics, wax pastels, and collage to express what she feels onto the canvas. And she creates her magic in what she refers to as her wee studio space. I love that. Love it. And we're going to talk about that today. Yeah. So we're so excited to have you, and we can't wait to chat with you. So welcome.
Well, thank you. And thank you for inviting me. And did you say it's your 18th episode?
18th.
Well, congratulations.
We are plugging along.
Yeah. It's fun, isn't it?
It is.
To go live and talk to different artists. Yeah. So good for you guys for doing this. I know Tamara and I started this over a year ago. I don't even remember exactly when. And I think we've done 58 episodes so far.
Well, I was talking with Tamara. She was our inspiration for starting because you guys did it like pretty close right after the pandemic started. Yeah. And then I was like, okay, well, this is fun. We can do this. Took a minute, but we got the courage.
Yeah, it's kind of it's a good way to have a conversation. Why not on Instagram? And it's a great way to meet other artists and just learn about their studio practices and find out what's going on in their neck of the world. Are you both in California, or?
I'm in California, and Terry's in Washington State.
Yeah, I'm about 40 minutes south of Seattle.
Okay. Well, that's pretty cool. Yeah. But you guys are in the same time zone, right?
Yes.
Okay.
We do have that. Yeah.
So you're morning.
So,
yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, we're 10. And so that means you're 11, 12, you're 1 o'clock there, right?
Here. We just had lunch.
Nice.
And it's a good time of day. It's a good time of day.
Yeah,
Barbara,
it is.
Barbara, tell us a little bit about, you told us you went to Parsons in New York and studied illustration. So can you give us a little of your background and then how you ended up or what you did with your illustration and then going into the abstract? Because you had a thought about that too, about doing abstract.
Okay.
So tell us about that.
Absolutely. So in a nutshell, I did go to Parsons School of Design back in, I guess it would have been the early 80s. And originally, when I was in high school, I thought, I'm going to be a fashion designer one day. I don't even know if Tamara knows this. I really wanted to be a fashion designer. So I started noticing Parsons down in New York City. So it was my dream, go to New York, become a world famous fashion designer. The only catch was I don't sew. I never have.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a bit of a pipe dream, but I was determined that I really, really wanted to go to Parsons. So I just was obsessed with looking at their catalogs every year that they would send out. And so I applied after grade 13. We went to grade 13 in Ontario way back in the old days, and amazingly got in with, a few drawings I had done and cobbled together as part of the submission process. So I did go there for 4 years, studied illustration. It was an incredible experience being this like small town Canadian girl dropped into New York City. And I was still pretty young. I think I was 17 actually when I started there. I turned 18 that fall. Yeah. And my parents like took me and left me.
Wow.
I don't know how they did that.
They were confident.
Yeah.
Confident in you.
Yeah.
So I did study there for 4 years, and then graduated, came back to Toronto, and really wasn't prepared for what it would be like to get into the whole illustration business. I tried, I took my portfolio around to some different magazines and things like that. And I actually did get one illustration job. It was to do the cover of a magazine, which proceeded to fold before it
was published.
Yeah.
Oh no.
So it kind of didn't really pan out, and then I thought, maybe I'll be a printmaker. I had bought an etching press because I really fell in love with printmaking when I was at Parsons. So I bought an etching press, had it shipped. It was in my little bachelor apartment in Toronto. And so I was doing monoprints and things like that, but it was lonely. I was in my 20s, and it was a solitary existence. And I thought, I can't really see myself in my 20s being sequestered away in a little bachelor apartment and just making art. I wasn't old enough. I wasn't wise enough to be artistic. So I ended up doing a bunch of other things, worked at an art gallery, which was interesting. And
I bet.
Yeah.
I bet you learned a lot there.
Did. And so that was an interesting experience. Learned about some of the local artists in Toronto. And then just kind of got into a whole other business, ended up going into the retail gift business. That seemed like, okay, this could be something I could get attached to. Ended up opening my own business a couple of years after working for somebody else, and had, we did interior design, we did home accessories, we did gifts. I had a great business partner, really good friend at the time. And so we had a store in Toronto. And then we eventually opened up another store in Muskoka, up in Port Carling, which is cottage country, and did that for many, many years. Fast forward, eventually that kind of, went by the sidelines. It was hard to maintain that pace, working 7 days a week, no breaks, and ended up going back to school, got my teaching degree, and I thought, well, this could be like a real grown-up profession. So did that for 25 years. I was not doing any art other than what I was doing with my kids. I had grade 4 students for a while, and then grade 2 students. So I loved doing art with them, but I was teaching math and English and history and science and all of that. And always felt kind of, I had this sadness in me that at one point I was so passionate about becoming some kind of a creative, fashion designer or illustrator or artist. And it's what I did growing up as a kid. That's all I did was draw. And I was just like, I feel like I'm missing something, or I'm going to regret this if I don't do this. So I thought, when I retire, and I did, I retired in 2018. Now I'm going to become an artist. And it was a really interesting time, a really emotional time. My dad actually was not well after I retired, and he ended up passing a couple months later. But I use that as an example, like, okay, you do not want to be at the end of your life and looking back and going, why didn't I give this a try? Like,
Right.
how, how would that feel? I knew my dad would have wanted me to do that. He would have wanted me to follow that dream. So
Yeah.
that's when it all began again. That's when I felt like I had my second chance at doing what I'd always wanted to do. And it was kind of my philosophy at the time, and it's what I said to other people, is it's never too late.
Yeah.
I mean, at the time I was in late 50s. It was like, it's never too late. You can still, like,
that's
what
me.
door closes. Oh yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yep.
So many of us
Yep.
like that, right? Like, so
Yep.
many of us. So yeah, the illustration thing didn't last. It didn't
So tell-
last long. But
So
it was
tell
great
us, you were talking about what type of illustration did you did, and then you were talking about how it's a little bit tough doing abstract art in Canada.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah. Okay. So
Yeah,
that's
that's
around
right. Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
So when you study illustration, I mean, you're basic, it's the program that was in place at Parsons. So there was a foundation year, you learn color theory, you do a lot of life drawing. So probably not a lot different from what somebody going into a fine art program would do. The only difference came a little bit further on in the program when we were given assignments, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you had to take whatever the assignment was and then create an illustration around it. So you're doing what somebody else is asking you to do, right? And when I started in 2018, I really had not picked up a paintbrush other than, like, kids' tempera paints and stuff like that at school.
Right.
So I didn't really know, like, what do I do? Like, I had no art supplies or anything like that. So I thought, I'm in Ontario. Everybody's work that I see here, they're painting landscapes. So maybe I have to be a landscape artist because I'm, surrounded by landscape artists. So I signed up for a landscape painting class at the local art gallery of Burlington. And I just thought, I'm not really loving painting trees, but I'll try. I'll kind of see how this goes. And there were people doing a way better job of it than I was, like, just, knocking it out of the ballpark with gorgeous landscapes.
Yeah.
So I thought, this isn't me. This doesn't feel right for me. So I started digging around online to see if there was some kind of an online program that would just kind of, like, help me figure out, what kind of an artist am I? Like, what is it that I need to express? So I signed up for a couple of things, and then all of a sudden, I don't know how it happened. It was fortuitous. It was fate. Nicholas Wilton's Art to Life website kind of popped up as a suggestion to look into. So I did. And I just thought, this sounds like the right thing for me, because I wasn't getting it elsewhere.
Was this when you decided, was this after you retired, or was this when you were still?
After I retired. This was
okay.
after. That was kind of that time period. So as a retired teacher, I retired in June.
Yeah.
And so I had kind of the summer and then into the fall to kind of think, what is it I need to do? So I discovered Art to Life, and I started watching some of his videos in the website. And I thought, I think this is going to help me figure out what I need to do.
Yeah.
A couple of months later after that, the doors open for signing up for the Creative Visionary Program. So I don't know if you guys have heard of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was expensive.
Yeah.
So I kind of, like, gulped and thought, you know what? This is going to be like going back to school for 3 months. I mean, tuition wise, I was looking at it as tuition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just bit the bullet. I said to my husband, I said, Roman, I just spent 4 digits on an on our visa, on an online program. But I said, I think this is going to really help me figure out what I need to do and how to do it. And it did. Like, it like lit a fire under me. And I did it. I followed the program to the letter. So I was basically painting 8 hours a day, 7 days a week. I was thinking about painting all the time. I was dreaming about painting. I was learning, I hate to say it, like, way more than I learned when I was at Parsons, about everything, color and value and design and all everything I needed to know about painting and finding my own voice, risk taking, and Nick's an abstract painter. There were a lot of abstract painters in the course, so I was kind of thinking, well, maybe I'll try some abstracted landscapes, right? So
that's where I'm at.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
And I loved that. I loved painting something very loosely, and I called them kind of like memoryscapes because they weren't of any specific place. I don't know if you do that.
Yeah.
But
yes.
I was sort of calling on my memories of being at summer camp up in Algonquin Park, of spending lots and lots of time up in Muskoka, and all that landscape I had absorbed. Plus, I live right on the edge of Lake Ontario, so my view out the window is lake. So I've got all of this and sky. And so the abstract pieces I was making at that time had that kind of landscapey feel, but they were starting to go off into that abstract zone. And it felt good.
Yeah.
I don't know if you get that same thing too, but...
Well, my little coach over here, Terry, is constantly pushing me because I'm having to still work, right? So I have to balance my time. And so, but she's constantly pushing me because I can feel it in my soul, but I want to do abstract. Like that's where I know it's going to be there. So I just need to get in and paint and paint and paint and paint and paint and paint and paint.
Well, that's the thing, right? That's
kind of what my little goal is going to be.
Yeah,
is to just really, because I feel like every time I do it, and Terry's the same way, every time we start painting, we learn new things. We start to get more comfortable with it. Our style is starting to come out more. So yeah, exactly. But I was curious, in his course, you were learning a lot about the composition, the color. Did he also have a business portion in that?
There is a business portion that happens towards the end, and then if you decide to go on to what they call the Art to Life Academy, which is kind of like for graduates of CVP, there's tons there for people who are looking how to set up a website and dealing with galleries. And there is a big business component. He brings in speakers. That was a great part of the program, bringing people. But kind of backtrack a little bit about this whole abstract thing. I mean, one thing Nick and his fellow coaches were always saying is all art is abstract. Like, even something that's recognizable, representational, it is still abstract art. And so the principles are the same. So whether you're looking at, a piece that's completely non-representational or something that's a combination, you're still applying the same principles. So that really resonated with me, and it actually made me feel safe. Like, okay, well, I can kind of deviate, go off, the beaten track, and try things. And the thing for me was, I just struggled with shapes. I'm like, okay, like, what shapes do I paint for abstract?
True, very true. Yes.
And because there are some artists, it's like, wow, they have these beautiful organic shapes and they reoccur in their work, but I wasn't far enough along. I mean, there's that whole, like, you have to put hundreds of hours of time making things in order to figure out what are your personal marks. What are the kinds of shapes and things that you want paint to do that feel like you. So that was tough for me. I don't know if that's tough for you, but to get away from the horizon line, like, okay, everything's got a horizon line. No horizon line. Like, help.
I wanted to ask you before we get too far from it, is that because you moved into more abstract, from your landscapes, you moved into abstract, and that's where we are now. And we just had a great conversation yesterday about this, and we continue to have them because it keeps coming up, which is, how did you mentally let go of knowing that it's this thing? Like, okay, say you're doing, for me, I want to do floral abstract, so that the essence of the floral is there, but somebody else could be like, I don't even see a flower, but and so but but yet when I go to do that, I'm stuck inside of my head of I need to make it look like a flower. And so there's this really big component that we're both trying to latch onto of letting go of those expectations of that realism of the shape of the for me the flower, for you the landscape. How did you go about that mentally? What was the shift for you to just be like, I don't care if anybody gets it. I'm just going to do it because it's what feels good to me.
Yeah. For me, it was the whole concept of play. And I just thought every time I'm painting, it's just playing. Like I'm just going to play and I'm just going to enjoy what the paint is doing. I'm going to let the paint guide what comes next. I've done some what I call floral inspired pieces, and there's not a flower in sight. Like there is nothing recognizable as a flower, except I would have people say, "Oh my God, I love your florals," and I'm like, "Okay, there's no flowers," but it's just something about focusing on what it is about. So if it's flowers, I was thinking color, movement. Sort of that graceful fluidity that you see with flowers. So I would let my brush strokes and however I was applying the paint do all of that. And I just think the more you do it, the less you care about whether or not other people get what you're doing.
Right.
Like truly, you know, I'm probably at the point now where I've done several hundred paintings over the last 4 years, and I look back at what I was originally making. And I can remember, oh my God, you're getting tight over here and you're worrying about this. And you're like, I can see it, right? And every once in a while it happens, right? But I think you just have to remind yourself, why am I doing this? I'm doing this because it feels good. I'm doing this because there's something about making stuff. There's something, I don't know if it's like primitive, like just that urge to make something that's never been seen before, right? Or, it's an object, and that's something that Nick always talked about too. It's like, yes, it's a painting, but it's an object, and the way you treat it, the way you finish it, the touchability of it, you have created this new object, this thing, which is, you know, pretty special because it's full of you, right? So that's a long way of saying treat it like play.
No, I love everything. I took notes, so
it's just experience and talking to as many people, as many other artists as you can about like what they're going through. If you're lucky enough to be able to paint with other people, like I was in New York, I was able to be in a room and we were all like, it's funny because it was almost not a therapy session, but in a way it was kind of a therapy session, and just absorbing everybody's process and helping each other kind of problem solve. And you can tell, like, oh my God, when you're getting really uptight about something and it feels, you feel anxious, or you feel you're getting stressed, and it's like, oh, okay, back away for a bit, and just, you know,
it goes through that ugly phase. You always have that ugly phase no matter where you are in a painting, and it's just how you get through it, and then you love it again in the end.
And you know you will, and just accept that every time you make a painting that it's a process, right? And it's not easy. I always marvel at people, you know, they'll show their process video start to finish on a painting, and I'm like, and you're still in the same outfit, like how is it not 10 days later and you know, like your hair's sticking up or you're in your pajamas, like just I know. Like,
start to finish. My pen across the room laughing at you.
Oh my God,
like how do you do start to finish? I couldn't do that. I can't do start to finish process.
I'm with you. I have not been able to, I mean, I've done sections where I've filmed sections, but to do it from start to finish, I mean, they have to be in their style, know exactly the process they're going to follow, and they know exactly how it's going to end up. And I just don't feel that confident.
But it's also maybe the way you work. I do not have any idea what I'm going to make. I don't have a clue. I don't know what the palette's going to be. I don't have any expectations. Everyone's like, right now I'm working on water inspired pieces. That's it. And I'm
that what's behind you?
Yes, that's a water.
Yeah,
That's a water.
Cool.
tell. I could only see it like your shape is in front of it, but I could see
It's
the pieces
gorgeous.
sticking out. I love it.
Me too.
Thank you. So that's one of a couple. And the reason I'm doing those is I want to submit them to a juried exhibition at a gallery in Oakville. So I thought, okay, well, this is a good little challenge. I love water.
Yeah.
I would be able to do some kind of abstract water-ish kind of piece, right? And it's like, I don't know what that is. That's not a pond or anything like that, but just something about the paint application. But no, I don't have a clue. I think the people who are able to do those process videos, they know exactly what they're going to do, and darn it, they get down to work and they do it. I just can't do that.
And the weird part is that as a newer artist, just 2 years in, or 3 years in now, I don't remember. It goes so fast because I'm having so much fun. Like and what I did before, the days were clicking off super slow because I was so unhappy. But now it goes quick.
Yeah.
But I would see those videos and I would think that was how all artists were, and compare myself to that. And I spent a good amount of time feeling inadequate in that because I didn't even know how to paint. And so to sit at a canvas and be like, I'm going to make it be this. The times that I tried that, I was like, that's not what I did at all. I don't know what I even painted. But I think it's great now to know that that's, you're right. I don't know where I'm going with this, but as you talk to other artists, you realize that what you think is going on, or sometimes the things that you see that you think are truth, may not be for everyone, and that I fit in with the other side of that's not me, and that's okay. And I'm feeling more confident in the fact of like, wait a minute, there's a whole sect of artists that I am just like. And so you feel connected then, and then I think that makes me, even just talking to you today, there's another layer of freedom that comes from talking to you of like, I'm normal, I'm okay, what I'm doing really, just because my painting gets ugly in the middle doesn't mean I suck, and everybody does.
Normal.
You know what I mean? Like I feel better. It's nice to know that you're not alone.
No, and you know what? It's this whole notion of rules. I think, I as women, and I don't want to get in trouble for saying this, but we're kind of rule followers.
Yes.
Don't you think?
Yeah.
And maybe like we grew up and we didn't want to do stuff wrong and want to make sure you're doing it right. And then, boy, that can trip you up if you're really trying to find your creative voice, because it's like, who's setting the rules? Oh my God, I'm setting the rules. Like, they're my rules. Which is empowering and makes you feel like, once you realize that and once you learn that. And Jody, I don't know if you follow Jody King, but we do, and she's about honest art, and she's like, there's rules, but then you break them, you pick the ones that you want to follow, but it doesn't mean that you have to do it exactly like what somebody else said. That freedom that comes from, I think the whole process of art, I'm finding, it is a process of letting go. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And the more that you can let go, the freer that you feel, the more joy that you feel, the more connected to your art that you feel, because it's really what you are putting out there. It's just a wonderful thing. Yeah. It's so incredible. And
paint for you.
It's a process of self-discovery that never ends.
Yeah.
We're so lucky. I imagine we can do this until the day we die, right?
Yeah.
And it's going to keep changing. It's going to keep evolving. I mean, I think there's a difference between rules and then principles, which is kind of what I learned with art to life. So there are principles that can make your art stronger, but they're by no means rules, but they are just like fundamentals, take them or leave them. What they help you do is critique your own work, because as we're working, at some point we need to start editing what we're doing.
And see what's not, like, you can learn how to edit and see what's not working in your painting and why.
Exactly. Right. And that might have been, like, of the millions of takeaways I had from doing the Creative Visionary program, that was probably the one that has stuck with me the longest. Like, it's ingrained. Like, I know what the principles are. So I know I can look at a piece and go, oh, well, that's freaking mid-value. That entire thing is like, you know, like the value version of
Yeah.
age.
Yes.
Exactly.
That can't last.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
you might be stuck in the weeds, like you're like really focusing on one little element, but then you back up and you realize that wasn't the problem. The problem was it's just very almost monochromatic, right? So yeah, I think of rules and principles as very different things. You know,
That's wonderful.
That is perfect. Yeah, and both we've watched and taken his free courses that he has, challenges. And you know, he's again one of those guys that just when he talks, he's an artist talking to other artists, and it just feels like so comfortable and natural. Like we have that on our list to do his program, but
next up,
I would say do it. Now I've done it 3 times. I did it once amazingly well, and then twice I was sidetracked by other things. So I actually need to actually leave it for a few years and come back to it, because I'm not ready to immerse myself in it again. I'm still, you know, really enjoying doing my own thing and playing around, and always with what I learned in the back of my mind. You know, he's as nice as you think he is. I had a chance of actually meeting him in person.
And you did, you had him on your show too. Yeah.
Yes, he was, I was like terrified. It's like, oh my God, we've got Nick coming on the show. He was just the nicest guy. But he came to Toronto, was it during or even maybe just after I'd finished CVP? So for me, it was like meeting a rock star. And a small group of us who had taken CVP went into Toronto, and we met him at the St. Lawrence Market and had breakfast with him. And he is just, he's even better in person. Just so generous, so kind, and there's that generosity of spirit. That was something that I learned too. Taking his course is, you know, share everything. Like if you learn something, share it. And,
well, that's what we're trying to do on doing our thing, because we are kind of just starting out in a way, and so we want to just share knowledge with other artists, with other people, other crafters, and that's why we're wanting to do this, because we feel like there's no reason not to share. Because
and we're sharing in real time, you know, real time as we're going through it, because we're both building our business and building just ourselves as artists. It's really kind of fun to be able to talk about that process. And I know that there's a bazillion other people that are in the same space that are maybe feeling alone and like, like I was feeling before Jeanette asked me to do this with her. So generosity of spirit. I'm watching that. And Tamara came back on. Hi, Tamara.
Hey, get back in here, miss.
She said, I'm back. Okay, generosity of spirit.
And
I love that.
That is absolutely art to life. And you know, I would say most artists that I've encountered, honestly, through social media is where I've met probably my bestest art friends. And I've been really fortunate to meet a few of them in person, and we clicked even better than online. But we all have in common, I think, this generosity of spirit, where like if you learn something, share it. Like, what am I going to do? Like, oh, I'm not going to tell you how to do something, and who you have to figure it out yourself. Like, no, because that comes back to you.
Well,
it does.
Barbara, the other thing about that is you can have somebody teach them the exact same techniques, and they're still going to paint it different. Absolutely. Because it's coming from their soul, their arms, their movements. So there's no way it's ever going to match. So what do you have no reason to hide it.
Exactly.
You got to tell it.
Exactly. Yeah. Hi, pretty somebody that I is local, and we've both taken CVP a few times. So, but no, I love that, and that's what you know. I just keep looking for that online, and I keep looking for those people with the same kind of intentions, right?
And open spirit.
And it's like an abundance of there's enough of us out there, and there's enough people who might love your art. You don't need 1 million people loving your art. You only need a few people who love your art. That's it.
Yeah.
Well, and the one good thing, I'll say one more thing about the Nicholas Wilton course, is that it's a good sign when people continually going back and taking it again and again and again. That shows that there's value, a lot of value in there. So we definitely are attracted to that. So it's good to hear that what you experienced in there
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
And then, okay, one other question I wanted to find out, because I have a small space for
Yeah.
painting. You said, what do you do with your large paintings in a small space?
Okay, so the one behind me is 36 by 36. So it's big,
Yeah,
and
that
it's
is
wood.
big.
It's wood. So it's kind of like it's not very forgiving. And when I move it, I have to move it carefully. So I'm working, I think I paced this off once. I think I'm working in like 45 square feet.
Oh my gosh.
So you are seeing, like, I am almost tummy up to my second table, and then there's a wall in front of me. And then there's another table to the left of me. And I'm a pretty tidy person, so I'm okay working this size. So, but if I'm this big piece, most of it I did on the floor in our kitchen. So I'm in our kitchen window well.
Okay.
And all our cooktop is to the right of me.
Okay.
Like I can touch it. Okay.
Oh wow.
I've got a floor space over there. So I have a big painting tarp and I throw it down.
Okay.
And I will do most of a piece this size on the floor.
Okay.
And then getting to the finish up stages, I'll pop it back on the easel.
Okay.
So I can get close to it. I like painting flat. I don't know where that comes from. Maybe just because I have to. I would love a painting wall. I see other artists who, they have the big painting walls and they got the screws. I hate you and I love you. I would like to know what that's like one day. That's a goal. I don't know if that'll ever happen, but so I've learned to paint flat, and there's kind of a freedom in it, because if you're gonna say, so I've got this guy. This was the one that was in the shower the other day. Okay.
So we got to hear that story. Like, how in the heck did you get the whole canvas wet? Like, what was that story?
I will tell you about that. But so this is a 48-inch long totem, and it fits my table perfectly. So I guess my tables must be 24 by 48, big commercial kitchen stainless steel tables, and the height is perfect. I'm almost 5'8". This comes to about my hip. So I can work really comfortably flat. So so most pieces I like to throw down on the table if I can. So the story of this one. And I've had people say, well, you had paint going down the drain and things like that. And I have to clarify, I did not have paint going down the drain. What I did with this, because it's on canvas, is it was that ugly mid-value schming, and it was all looking, I glazed it, and it was like, oh man, it's really like quinacridone red, like the whole thing. And I thought, no, I have to do something drastic. I have to do something radical. So what I did, because I couldn't take a power sander to it, which I would do, I did with this guy. I put it in the shower, which is huge. Our shower space is huge. And I just soaked it. The paint was dry.
But
I just soaked it. And then I got out one of my kitchen scrubbies. And then I got down on my knees and I just started like loosening up bits of paint, scrubbing through. It's another way of sanding. There's something about getting it really wet that just makes it, even though it's painted dry, it just made it easier to remove areas.
And that's because it was on canvas, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And like if I wanted to sand a little bit of it with like a little piece of sandpaper, I would have, but the whole thing had to be, radically shifted. So that's why it went in the shower of shame, and and got a good soaking, and then I got my little scouring thing out, and really roughed up the surface so that it's almost like wrecking it so I can fix it.
But that's where the layers come from.
Yeah. Did you try to take as much of the paint off, or did you want to leave the paint and give it some?
I wanted to leave a lot of it. I just wanted to destroy the surface.
Okay.
So there were things that had already been blocked in, and I thought, I'm not happy with this. I'm not happy with this overall weird tint that it's got. And I knew there were a ton of underlayers, and the only way to get to those underlayers is just to disrupt the surface as much as I could. So when I took it out of the shower, after scrubbing away, it had almost like it looked like, you see those old walls and they've put up a billboard and they've been ripped down paper.
Oh.
It just looks distressed.
Uh-huh.
So it had this really nice distressed surface. And then I could look at it differently. And then I just started playing around with stuff. I started mixing up. I'm liking where it is right now.
Good.
And I'm liking where I think it's going to go. But it just had to shift it.
Do you want to show us a little bit? Or show us a corner?
Can you?
I'll try.
Okay.
So.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I can see. Yeah.
That's so cool.
So it's got some really neat things going on.
Mhm.
And it's still going to be kind of a water-based piece.
Uh-huh. That's cool.
Oh,
I get my
yeah,
seal,
yeah.
I can't make it any higher. But if you could see it up close, you would see some of that distressed surface. But then I took it back and I glazed it several times with some different colors so that distressed surface was all harmonized.
Yeah.
And then I went in today, I mixed up these little pots of glazing medium with some different paint colors. And I thought, I've used my glazing medium for a while. And then I grabbed my new favorite tool, which is this.
Yes.
I started slapping stuff on, and I thought, okay, I'm liking where it's going now. So
See, that is a perfect story for not giving up,
Oh,
even
yeah.
when you're in the god-awful, ugly stage.
Oh,
You
yeah.
just keep going. And
Keep
eventually
go,
you'll get
yeah.
somewhere.
Yeah.
And I know I had some people say, well, why don't you just gesso it? It's like, no, I've got
That
great
texture.
layers under there, and those layers are gold, and I know that, they're just going to make the piece better.
Richer.
Yeah,
Very
they're-
true. Very true.
So all the yuck, it's valuable. It's good stuff. Like, you don't want to lose the yucky stuff.
Well, that's a gold.
And I'm learning that stuff is the story of the painting.
Yes, it is.
When I think that when people buy our pieces, they don't always realize that what they see on the surface is just the end of the journey.
Yeah.
But there's a story all the way through it of the creation of it that one, we have to learn. I'm about to do this because I'm going to my first booth show in like 4 weeks. The countdown is on.
Yeah, good.
And I'm like, okay, Terry, you have to start thinking about how are you going to, if someone asks you about something, how are you going to talk about? And I want to get better at telling that story of like, that there's more to it than just what you're seeing. And when you purchase it, you are purchasing a piece of my story, my journey. This is me on the canvas, because we have to push ourselves through those phases of it. And I would not, you're right, don't gesso over it. Just let it keep becoming.
History, right? It's
Yeah.
I call it, it's the history of the piece. It's
Yes.
not always fun. Like, I think sometimes people think, oh, you guys just, throw paint in. Sometimes it's a struggle. It's almost like
It's really.
yeah. And like, I recognize, okay, this is the struggle part.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. And maybe it's something else going on that's impacting the way I'm painting or how I'm feeling about it. But I just kind of go with it and just like allow that struggle to happen, allow that frustration to happen. And that's the energy you're putting into your work. Often if that happens and I need to shake myself out of it, I'll put on a funny podcast.
Yeah.
So that
Oh,
you can't laugh and feel stressed.
Well,
at the same
yeah.
I mean, it's probably harder for you to do in the small space, but I try to have another canvas off to the side that if I get to that stage, I'll do something to the other one and then go back and forth. That makes it easier. And
Yes.
both Terry and I find it really hard. Abstract is hard. It's not.
Mhm.
People think it looks easy, but I think it's the hardest thing
Mhm.
to do.
I would
Yeah.
I mean, there's really talented, realistic painters that
Yes.
I couldn't even stroke a stick at that are amazing. But I think abstract is super hard. So to get it right,
to get it right, because there's so many possible rights.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's just which way do you want to go? Like and what is it you're I don't know, like, and when you're working on a painting, there is a point where all of a sudden it's like, oh, that's it.
Yeah.
Like, walk away. Like
Yeah.
just get
Yeah,
out of the room.
and learning to walk away. Like that's
Yeah.
when I think when it's abstract, it's harder to know sometimes, especially in as you're beginning and you know, we're not that many canvases in, right?
Yeah.
So you that muscle will get, I'm learning for myself that muscle's getting a little bit stronger of knowing, okay, leave it be. It's where it's great, it's awesome, but when you're doing abstract, it can be hard to know because it is abstract. How is it done? You know, when is it finished?
And that's
I
you listen to that little voice, right?
Yeah.
And I also let it sit overnight or sit for
Yeah.
a couple days and then look at it again with a fresh eye. Like don't look at it and just let it sit and then come back to it with fresh eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I call it going painting blind. Like I literally can look at my painting and I'm like, I don't know what I'm looking at anymore. I'm so close to it. It's like, you know, when you're writing something and you think you've included a word, but it's not really there, but your brain keeps inserting it. I think that's what happens with me when I'm painting. It's like my brain is seeing it differently.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to just like, you know, like done, go make dinner, go do something else, you know, later.
Danielle said sometimes that she leaves it for a few weeks. Yeah. Go do a bunch of other stuff and then come back. Sometimes I'll forget that I have one. Like I have them turned backwards and then I'll be like, oh, what was this painting I was working on? Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Then there's all the paint overs, right? I think I've painted over. I love doing a paint over. I love finishing a piece and having it sitting around. And then a year later, like if it's not doing much and I haven't varnished or waxed it, that's the key. You can't like put a finish.
Yeah.
You know, those pieces that you're like, it's good, I'll just let it. But I love taking those pieces and reworking them. That to me is fun.
Okay, that's a good idea too.
Yeah.
Where do you store?
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Where do you store your art, Barbara?
In our bedroom.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay.
Some of it, like the current pieces, I keep. You can't really see because this piece is so big, but it's like my peanut gallery. I have like all my unpainted, like all my substrates that are ready to just be worked on. So white canvases and some wood panels. But then I have like my little peanut gallery of recent pieces that I really love, and they're my little cheerleaders. So if I'm ever working on something and going, hey, this is really bothering me, I'll look at one of my little peanut galleries and it's like, hey, what's going on? You know. And I might get inspired by the color, or I might be inspired by the design of it. So there's something about those pieces. I just like to keep them close because sometimes I look to finished work to get inspiration for what's going on now. So
I love
it. The bedroom. If I showed you our bedroom, it's got a lot of finished pieces just resting.
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. Well, if you get into the show, that'll help too, because that's what I keep thinking about, go into art associations and doing their shows. And it's also a place where you can, have your art without having it just sitting somewhere,
That's the
true.
I just want work out there. Yeah. I did a big fundraiser for Ukraine a year ago, actually. It was a year ago. And I sold 56 paintings.
Was that the live? Was that the live auction you did?
It was. I just did it on Instagram. I thought, I wonder if I can raise $500, and then it just kind of it snowballed from there. And I thought, well, maybe I can raise $1,000. I had no plan. Wow. You talk about winging it. I was just winging it, and then I thought, well, I've got all this work. A lot of it's from like 2019, or just like all kinds of pieces. I just want them out there, and if I can do some good, like if I can raise money. So 100% of the proceeds went to the Canada-Ukraine Foundation. 56 paintings left the premises. Oh. I met people from, like, I didn't even know they were following me. It's like, how did you even find out about this? And it was like a snowball going down a hill. And I just want stuff out there.
Yeah.
Like, however that happens.
We're going to have to talk about that later. Allie for the Soul is watching, and she does a lot of auctions and raises money for animal rescue and animal sanctuaries.
Love that.
And we'd have to talk to you about how that came about, how you advertised for it, what you did, because a lot of people are talking about having like an online open house or something like that to sell the art.
Mhm.
So you would use the same principle, you know, whether you were raising money or selling for yourself, I
Yeah.
suppose, right?
Yeah, I think it's a good thing to do if you're able to part with. I have no issue parting with work, like
Yeah.
no issue, and if it can help, great. And then if it's in somebody else's home, even better. I love the idea that paintings go to live with other people.
That's great.
Yeah.
To me, it's like that's my legacy. I don't have kids. Roman and I don't have kids.
Yeah.
These are my kids. So if
Yeah.
I can send them out to the world, like that's great. They'll be around hopefully long after I'm gone, and that's just a little piece of me. Right?
Yeah.
That I've
I love
left.
that. Well,
Spreading your joy.
tell us now, Barbara. I think we're getting close to.
Yeah, we are.
I'll check on
Over now.
time.
Yeah.
You lose this.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
tell
that's
us-
right.
Okay, tell us what you have coming up real quick, and then I just can't thank you enough for being on. We
Thank
love
you.
this
This is
conversation.
Sure.
awesome. We have to get you guys on No Pressure.
Yeah.
Squared.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Then you can be on the other side.
Yeah.
Things come up. Well, hopefully something we'll get into
Yeah.
this show. I've got some, I think, 4 pieces in the, there's a big fundraiser that I do every year at the Dundas Valley School of Art. So I have 4 pieces in that. And that's a really, really fun auction. I have nothing to do with selling it other than I'll, promote it on my Instagram feed. So I've got that. And the girls and I are looking at planning our next art getaway because we miss New York and we miss each other. And so we are in the process of figuring out what we want to do next and where we want to go. So
When do you have to submit for the show that you're doing the water for?
in like 6 days, so no pressure.
Okay. Okay, you are gonna have to let us know.
This one may or may not make the cut. No pressure. I just to be honest with you, I hate filling in applications. Like
I know.
To me, it's like, oh my God, I have to like name the paintings according, like last name first, then your first name, then your title, then it's like, I need an assistant to do stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
Danielle,
agreed.
how do you sell work? I would say 99% of the pieces I've sold have been off Instagram.
Oh.
I have a website that's not up to date. And Tamara's like my alter ego. She's the one who's got it all. She's got her website up to date. She does her newsletter. She does all of those good things. I just don't get to that stuff. And I've kind of had to let it go. I've had to just allow that. Okay, this is not you sitting and doing your website. It's there. One day maybe I'll get it done. But I would say 99% of it goes from Instagram.
Wow, that's
Every once in a while, something from Facebook. I have to remember I've got a Facebook account.
Yeah.
And
That's
check my
great.
messages.
Terry's done that before. I haven't done that yet. I wanna get that to happen. Well, I shouldn't say that. I have had that happen too, but yeah, I'd love that to happen more.
Danielle, all I do is once a piece is ready to sell, I will include a little message that says, if you're interested, send me a DM. I've got a few collectors who will get in touch with me, once a year or twice a year just to see what I've got if they need something. A designer, a local designer. I hadn't even put the piece up for sale. But a local designer contacted me and said, I have a client in the Bahamas who really wants that painting of yours. So sometimes it just comes, I don't sell it. Like sometimes it's somebody just sees it and they like it. That's good.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well,
that is awesome.
So that's it.
I guess we have to go, but I feel like I could talk to you all day.
I know, isn't it fun?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you again for coming on, taking time out of your afternoon. I have 2 pages of notes that I wrote down, little nuggets that even down to getting a tall stainless steel table because mine's low and I'm bending over. So, I got lots of nuggets.
Yeah.
So thank you.
So
Me
these
too.
are from Uline. I don't know if you guys have Do you have Uline?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I just ordered it online and they delivered it a couple days later, and then I had Roman set them up because that's not my forte either, setting up tables. But they're great. Like they are awesome, and the height is great.
Okay.
Awesome. That's good.
Thank you,
That's
Barbara,
good.
and good luck at getting in your show. I hope all of your
Thank you.
waters make it. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
I hope so too.
Okay.
Anyways, thank
We'll be
you,
cheering
ladies.
for you.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Barbara.
Thanks.
Thank you. Bye,
Thanks,
Terry.
everybody.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching.
Yeah, thanks for watching, everybody. Okay, bye.
Bye.
Bye.